Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Jackson Show. I'm your host, Jackson Solomon, and today we are going to be walking through my predictions for this weekend's games, as always. But before we do so, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the show. It all means so much, and as always, we're just gonna get straight into it. We start with news in college football. Just so you know, I made this podcast script a couple of days ago, so maybe not everything's up to date, but from the stuff that I've got is pretty accurate. So let's start with the college football news. New Orleans is going to host the College Football Playoff National Championship once again in 2028. No surprise there. There's no surprise there. New Orleans is definitely, it hosted the last Super Bowl, and so this is some big-time news for that stadium. SoFi and New Orleans, definitely the two places I would love to have my national championship / Super Bowl. Also, Mercedes-Benz Stadium with the Falcons, that's also a good stadium to have your championship game at. But so those three I would really recommend. Three stadiums that I don't think anybody would recommend as outdoor stadiums, obviously. I wouldn't not recommend any of those, but the favorites that I have in my bag, New Orleans, SoFi, and Atlanta. This is huge for the city of New Orleans. They showed out for the Super Bowl. No doubt in my mind they'll show out for the College Football Playoff National Championship game. And the last College Football Playoff National Championship game that was actually in New Orleans will be 9 years from 2028 when LSU beat Clemson in the national title game. That was the miraculous 15-0 season from Joe Burrow, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, all those guys. That was a great season for for LSU that year, and a great season for the city, for just the state of Louisiana as a whole. So good news for the city of New Orleans. Just hosted the Super Bowl. You're going to get a national championship coming up soon. I talked about this during my college football rankings episode, but Texas Tech and Iowa State. Both are teams that I've talked about. And Iowa State, I talked about Texas Tech, their defense, one of the best in the country, how they limit and stop the running game, and that's how good they are, right? Iowa State, they're going to be missing their starting defensive backs, John Tez Williams and Jeremiah Cooper. I would say that the Big 12 is primarily a run-first conference, but you do understand that when you play schools in the Big 12, I don't know if these are teams actually on their schedule, but Arizona, Colorado, BYU, those are teams that throw the football around often, and that's going to hurt you like we saw it hurt Tennessee when they played Georgia in conference play to start off the season. So that's a big-time loss for Iowa State, and definitely kind of lowers my expectations and my hope that they'll win the conference, because there could be a team that's at the bottom right now, TCU, that could emerge to the top of the Big 12. You just never know. So you always got to keep your eyes peeled and your eyes ready for that one. All right. Next, Oregon's Mekhi Hughes. This guy transferred in. I forgot where he transferred in from, but he transferred in. Mekhi Hughes. He's going to redshirt due to lack of play. Noah Whittington has been a beast for Oregon this season. Mekhi Hughes just hasn't gotten much PT, so the Oregon coaching staff or athletic director, I don't know who makes those redshirting decisions, but they decided Mekhi Hughes, we're just going to redshirt him, have him get another year of eligibility, because he can technically redshirt. I think he's under the minimum of snaps played for a redshirt, so that works out for Oregon. They get a superstar running back, stud running back for next year. Love Mekhi Hughes. Love that guy. Great running back. Just Noah Whittington's played outstanding, and it's hard for a guy like Mekhi Hughes to earn a job back from someone that's played so good. The NFL, there's some NFL updates. Dylan Gabriel is going to make his first start Sunday in London versus the Vikings. I think, I'm just going to voice my opinion on this. I think this is 100% because the Browns saw what Jackson Dart did with the Giants, And the Cleveland immediately jumped on the bandwagon. If we switch to our rookie quarterback now, we can win a football game. Completely different circumstances. The Vikings defense, although they didn't play as good as I expected them to last week, is still a good defense. You're going to get them killed out there. And when you're forced to go back to Joe Flacco, if you ask me, this is tough. This is a tough decision this early in the season to move on from Joe Flacco, who's a veteran, who's had experience with this team. And I honestly, I blame you a lot. But if Gabriel plays well, then nothing I just said matters. So there's that. Next, Jaden Daniels will play versus the Chargers Sunday. So, like I said, this update is from Wednesday, but he was cleared earlier on in the week. So, good news for all the fantasy football managers with Jaden Daniels. He is back. My question is, how effective will he be? And that's a giant question mark. How effective will he be? I don't know. The Chargers defense didn't play great last week. They're back at home. This is only their second home game of the season. Hopefully, they'll find a way to rebound. But the Chargers defense is much better. So, just see how Jaden Daniels and the Commanders perform. Plus, Brady is in the booth. And that is something that I feel like Jaden Daniels plays well when Brady's in the booth. But maybe that's just me. And also, last thing, Darius Leonard, former Pro Bowler. He's going to retire with the Indianapolis Colts. His tenure has come to an end. Great player. Obviously, when I think Colts linebackers, I think of him. But now Zaire Franklin stepping into that role. So Darius Leonard, great career, great player, is going to retire. The time has now come for my predictions. Starting Saturday. Big noon Saturday. Kickoff is at 12 on Fox. Wisconsin taking on Michigan. Michigan is a more than a touchdown favorite, actually. They're just a couple of points shy of a 3-touchdown favorite. Favored by 18 points. Gonna go blue here. There's no doubt in my mind that Michigan will win. Easily going with Michigan. Right? Clemson will take on Unk and Bill Belichick. I'm going to be honest. This is really... I could have picked either one of these teams. It's difficult because Clemson is... How do I say? Clemson has struggled. North Carolina has also struggled. Somehow Clemson is a 2-touchdown favorite when North Carolina has a better record than them. I don't know how good North Carolina's defense is. They've looked horrible when they've played Big 12 competition. This is completely different, though, the ACC. Clemson's defense has not been bad, but they just cannot get the ball moving on offense. I'll take Clemson. I don't know much about that 14 points that they're supposed to give or what they're favored by versus Unk. How about... I'm not going to call this game of the week, but it is much closer than our game of the week. Vanderbilt taking on Alabama. And Alabama's favored by 11 points over Vanderbilt. I don't know if it's because of what Alabama did last week or it's because the game is in Tuscaloosa, but 11 is a crazy high number for one of the best comeback stories in all of college football with Diego Pavia and what he did last year versus this Alabama defense, which did not look like it improved in week 1 versus Florida State, but has gotten better throughout the season. I'm going to take Alabama, though. Reason why I take the Tide is because Vanderbilt is ranked, and Kalen DeBoer does not lose to ranked teams. Plus, this is a game where it's a prove-it game, basically, for Vanderbilt, because if they win, there's a really good chance you're inside of the top 10 with Ole Miss. Can you believe it? Vandy and Ole Miss. I like what I've seen from Alabama, especially last week. So I like Bama more than I like the Commodores. Virginia's taking on Louisville. Virginia, if you recall, upset Florida State last week on their home turf. They traveled to Kentucky to take on Louisville. How about this? Louisville, 7-point favorite versus the 24th best team in the country. The fact that they're a touchdown favorite means someone knows something. Louisville's undefeated. So is Virginia, but somebody knows something if Louisville is favored by 7. So that's the reason I'm taking that's why I'm taking Louisville. I just ranked teams going on the road versus unranked opponents favored, and the other team's favored by 7. I don't know what to think of that. Plus, Chandler Morris could have a field day, but Louisville's defense, I believe, is much better than Virginia's because, I don't know, just Virginia right now, in my opinion, they gave up 40 points last week. Or not in my opinion, but Virginia gave up 40 points last week to Florida State, whose offense is really good. Just could not stop a nosebleed. And that's pretty bad. All right, Michigan State versus Nebraska. I think this is the first week I'm picking both a Michigan and a Michigan State game. I just can't remember if I picked. No, I have picked both of these teams in the same week before. This would be the second time I did it. Last time was in week 2. But Nebraska's favored by more than a touchdown. They're favored by 12 coming off of their bye week. I would say they're very grumpy after the Michigan game. They're not proud of how they played in the Michigan game. And State's defense is terrible. Give me Nebraska. Game of the week. Prime time. 7:30 on the ABC. Miami 5-point favorites versus Florida State in Tallahassee. Florida has 2 bad wins on the season. And this game's in Florida State. I don't know about Carson Beck. I don't know about Carson Beck. I don't know how good he's going to play. But one thing I do know, Florida's defense is one of the best I've seen, right? They have one of the best defenses in the country, if not the best defense in the country over maybe Oregon. Ohio State's defense is really good, but I like Miami. I don't know if Florida State could score points against Miami. And question is, has our opinion of Florida State changed after last week's loss? No, I don't think our opinion has changed at all. My opinion hasn't, and my opinion was that Florida State is a good team. I think they just got caught last week. They got caught up. Virginia had a better game plan, and I think this week they'll play much better. They just won't win. But Alabama, I have Alabama winning, which will definitely help Alabama in the long term. Moving on to the NFL, I need an extra game to predict. I had Rams-Niners, and I had the Rams. I cannot believe that they lost last night. That the Rams lost to the 49ers last night. But in more important news, how about the Sunday in the NFL? Cowboys-Jets. Cowboys favored by 3. This is a matter of Jets defense really can't find ways to get stops in big-time games. The Jets. The Jets cannot find ways to get stops in big-time games. Their defense is one of the worst in the league right now, which is crazy because you've hired a defensive-minded head coach. I don't know what Justin Fields is like. Give me the Cowboys in the 3. Broncos travel to Philly to take on the Eagles. Philly favored by 4. Broncos defense is really good, and the Eagles offense has struggled the first 2 weeks of the season. Now they're starting to get things going. I think week 3 things really start to get going. The only problem is with the Eagles offense getting things going is no Saquon Barkley and no A.J. Brown involved at all. And now there's the storyline of A.J. Brown. Is he unhappy? I don't think A.J. Brown's unhappy. I think A.J. Brown's perfectly fine. And I think Saquon is going to get more involved. I just think the Super Bowl really changed people's perspective on the Eagles, where it's like Saquon isn't the biggest threat in this team. It's A.J. Brown, but we're still going to game plan for Saquon anyway. And that's what teams have done. He's been bottled up since week 2. He's been stopped, neutralized. Week 1 didn't have a big game. Week 2 he had a big game. Week 3 was really disappointing, and week 4 once again really disappointing. So Saquon's got to get things going. I think he does this Sunday back at home versus the Broncos. 4-point favorites. I'm taking Philly. And also, I'm picking against the... I picked against the Eagles for the first 3 weeks of the season. This week, I'm picking the Eagles to win. Don't let me down, birds. All right, next game is Texans versus Ravens. Texans are favored by 2 points. Got their first win of the season last week. Baltimore is 1-3. They only beat bad teams, but the people talk about the defense is bad. I don't think it's bad. I think it's just injured. And with the injuries, I haven't seen anything about anybody coming back. Lamar Jackson's out this week, so it's going to be Cooper Rush. Kyle Hamilton is got a groin injury. I'm going to take the Texans. I think the offense looked better last week. Things started to click, and last week with Woody Marks. So I'm going to take the Texans. Lions are favored by 11, taking on the Bengals in Cincinnati. I'm going to go with Detroit over the Bengals. And as we all know about the Bengals right now, they cannot... they don't have offensive success right now without Joe Burrow, and they are really struggling offensively. And the Lions defense looks really good, plus Lions offense is scoring a lot of points. I know they didn't really score much points versus the Bengals, or it should be versus the Browns, but I'm still going to take the Lions. Plus, Detroit, if you lose this game, you have matched your win total from last year, and that can't happen until you play Kansas City. So, Commanders versus Chargers. I'm taking the Chargers. Jane Daniels in the offense. I just don't feel like things are going to click off the get-go. And right off the rip, I don't think things are going to get going. This is the my game of the week for the NFL. The Chargers are favored by 3. I'm going to take the Chargers, despite how depleted that offensive line is. The Commanders' defense, still not very good. And last pick of the week, Chiefs travel to Jacksonville to take out the Jaguars. Chiefs are favored by 4. Give me the Jags. Defense wins defense wins championships, and the Jags defense is really good. So I'm gonna take Jacksonville. Those are my picks. Thank you so much for listening to the Jackson Show. Today was a great episode. I always enjoy it. I hope you enjoy it. Don't forget to tune into the next episode of the Jackson Show, and as always, bring a friend.